The smell of pine and earth hit me the moment I stepped out of my truck. After 15 years, the valley looked almost the same as the rolling hills, the winding creek, the whispering wind that carried the scent of wildflowers and home. I had dreamed of this day for years, coming back to the cabin my grandfather built with his own hands, the place where I spent every summer as a boy. But what I didn't expect was a brand new metal gate blocking my old gravel road, a broken bar and a laminated sign that read, "Private property, HOA access only. Trespassers will be reported." For a moment, I just stood there in disbelief. The cabin sat on land that had been in my family for generations. My grandfather, Thomas Miller, had bought the entire valley back in the 1950s. It wasn't just a cabin, it was 1,400 acres of forest, streams, and meadows. This land was ours, so when I saw that gate, my heart sank, and then, the anger started boiling. Before I could process it further, a voice screeched from behind me, "Hey, you can't be here." I turned to see her, a woman in her late 50s, wearing oversized sunglasses, clutching a clipboard like it was a sword. She marched toward me in a pastel tracksuit, the kind that screamed self-appointed authority. "I'm Karen Dalton, president of the Valley Ridge Homeowners Association," she announced, puffing her chest. "This is private property, and I'm calling security if you don't leave immediately." I blinked, stunned for a second, then gave her a polite smile. "Ma'am, I think there's a misunderstanding. This is my land. I own the valley." She scoffed so loudly it echoed. "You own the valley? Please. This entire area is home managed. You must be mistaken." I could have laughed, but something about her arrogance just hit a nerve. "No mistake. My name's Jake Miller. My grandfather bought this land back before any of these homes existed." Karen looked me up and down, clearly unimpressed. "Mr. Miller, I don't know who you think you are, but this is a residential community now. We maintain the trails, the roads, and that cabin you're trespassing on, it's scheduled for removal. It's an eyesore." My stomach twisted. Removal? That cabin was my grandfather's legacy, the place where my mother was born, where we learned to fish, where my grandfather took his last breath looking out over the valley he loved. "I'll be staying here for a while," I said quietly. "That cabin isn't going anywhere." Karen narrowed her eyes. "We'll see about that." Over the next few days, I got a taste of just how far this hoe had gone. My old road was blocked off, signs were plastered everywhere and "No trespassing, residents only, home enforcement area." New houses had popped up across the ridge, shiny and soulless, their backyards stretching onto land that was illegally mine. Neighbors whispered when I passed by. Karen made sure of that. She sent letters, posted online warnings about a dangerous squatter, and even called the sheriff. When the deputy arrived, he looked at my deed, scratched his head, and said, "Jake, you're clear. You own every inch of this land, even where these houses sit." That hit Karen hard. Her face turned white as chalk when she overheard it. But instead of backing down, she doubled down. She had the HOA's lawyers send me a notice demanding I cease occupation of unauthorized property. She fined me for illegal construction, referring to my grandfather's 70-year-old cabin. And when that didn't scare me off, she sent a work crew to tear down my fence. That was the last straw. I went into town the next morning and pulled every record I could find, deeds, survey maps, tax logs. It took a few hours, but I confirmed what I already knew. My family still owned all of Valley Ridge, from the creek to the mountain line. The HOA, the houses, the new developments say they were built illegally on private land. Apparently, the original developer in the 1990s had leased part of the valley from my father under a temporary rights agreement. When Dad passed away in 2005, that lease expired. No one renewed it. No one even checked. They just kept building. And Karen, self-righteous, controlling Karen, had been bossing around people on land she never owned. So I hired a lawyer. 2 weeks later, every homeowner in Valley Ridge received a letter. It stated, in plain terms, that they were residing on private property without legal standing, and that the rightful owner, Jake Miller, was reclaiming his land. The panic was instant. Some tried to argue, others reached out, terrified they'd lose their homes. I didn't want to kick out families who'd built lives here, that's not who I am. But the whole board, including Karen, had crossed too many lines. When Karen stormed up to my cabin the next day, she was livid. "You can't do this," she screamed, waving the letter like a weapon. "You'll ruin everything. We've spent years building this community." I stood on the porch, calm as ever. "You built it on someone else's land, Karen." "That's not my fault." She stomped her foot like a child. "I'll fight this. The whole will fight this." I looked her straight in the eye. "Karen, you're standing on my porch, on my property, telling me I don't belong. Maybe it's time you realize you're the one trespassing." For a long moment, she said nothing, just glared at me, her face red with rage and fear. Then she turned and stormed off, shouting that I'd regret it. Months passed. Lawyers got involved. Developers offered to buy me out. I refused. Instead, I made a deal directly with the homeowners. I sold them the individual plots at fair market value, cutting out the hoe entirely. I even reduced prices for those who couldn't afford it, on one condition: the hoe would be dissolved, and the valley's natural beauty restored. Karen lost her position. She tried to rally people, but no one listened anymore. Without power, she moved away quietly. One spring morning, I stood outside my rebuilt cabin, watching the sun rise over the valley. The creek sparkled, the meadows bloomed again, and for the first time in decades, the air felt free. A few neighbors waved from across the way. No fences, no gates, just people living peacefully on land that finally felt like home again. As the wind rustled the pines, I thought of my grandfather Ray and smiled. Sometimes, life has a way of reminding you, you don't have to raise your voice to reclaim what's yours. You just have to stand your ground.